First time I saw Dr. Cole, and I met Dr. Cole back in the late 90s, but I had wanted to get a hair transplant and had talked about it, but it was kind of scary back then because there wasn't a lot of information about it. And other places I went, they said, no, you're not a candidate for that. And I mean, you can see hair now, but I was practically bald on top, practically bald. And then I met Dr. Cole, and the way he talked about it, I could tell he had an enthusiasm for it, and he talked about how that it had to be done a certain way, and he had an artistic approach to it, I guess I'll put it that way. And everybody was different, and you just don't plug in a hairline, you imagine what it should be for a man that was the age that I was when I went, which is my middle 30s, I suppose. And I got complete trust from him. So I chose, after all that a lot said no, and he says, David, we can do this. And again, he couldn't really trust anything that was going on back then. That even this was a real thing that could be done. It's just a wild thing to think about. So we did it. We absolutely did it. He gave me, I left there with no hair, and then he gave me this hairline. And granted, it was just a lot of dots at the time, but there was actually a hairline. And so I trusted him. He did a fantastic job on giving me a head of hair again. It was just an incredible experience. It couldn't have been a better experience. And then the darn stuff grew, and it's still growing. So he's wonderful.
So you've had procedures at other clinics. How would you rank as far as the overall result comparison?
I did have some other procedures. I moved from Georgia back home to Virginia, and I mean it's a long trek, Virginia to Georgia, just for a treatment. So, and I trusted and I knew it was stuff that you could do, and so there was a place in Virginia Beach. I went there, and they did the same thing, but there was not this artistic approach that Dr. Cole had, and there wasn't the real. I wasn't able to fully trust them, but I trusted the process because I knew it worked because I had it work with Dr. Cole. But the results there, it was just totally different. Back then it was a strip treatment, and there was a scar involved that your other hair covered, and theirs it just wasn't the same thing at all. Nobody has the touch that Dr. Cole does to keep everything right. And my experience from those other people was, while it wasn't a waste, it grew because the process is there, but the way that Dr. Cole does it, there's just a difference. And so it was not the same. It wasn't as good.
As far as people looking at your procedure, can anyone tell you've had work done? Does it look natural in your opinion?
No, I think it looks very natural. The fear at the time was, that you have baby doll hair, where you can see pokes of hair all around in the scalp of any doll that has hair. And with Dr. Cole, he said, no, David, we have 3 grafts we'll put for filler hair back here, but for the front, and the first few rows, there'll be single grafts, and they have to go in the same way they came out so that the angle's the same. And that's the stuff that kind of turned me on, and he had an artistic approach to it as well. But nobody can tell. Even when I go to get a haircut, and the person is cutting my hair, I say, you used to be bald, and they can't tell that even that I had a hair transplant. To this day, nobody would know, and I can show them a picture because we all have pictures on our phone. I show them, this thing when I was bald, and it's just the difference is just unreal. Nobody can tell.
When you booked your procedures initially, it was important to keep in mind realistic expectations. Were what you were promised to achieve, what you expect, what you see, and what you expected to achieve with the transplant?
I got way more than I expected. I was shocked at just hair that was coming in, because it was just incredible. There was coming from a place where there was nothing to, now there was just hair there. Hair to comb and hair to style and do whatever I wanted. So I got way more than I thought I was going to get. It was just amazing.
How was the recovery process?
No, it was easy. It was no problem at all. You have to learn how to wash your hair, because you got to make sure you don't disturb the new graft and knock it out of its place. If you went and scrubbed your hair after the transplant, you just scrubbed them all out. But he teaches you how to, wash your hair and to clean it. And as long as you follow that direction, they stay in place and they grab and they grow, and it's easy.
So this procedure was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Having looked at it now, would you have done it all over again?
Oh, heck yeah. I wouldn't have taken as long to do it. The big thing was getting the trust, and I had that with Dr. Cole. So I wouldn't do anything different, except maybe I wouldn't. I didn't do everything all at once. It was better. It worked for me to do it in stages, and that I could have done it all at once. It would have been a beautiful result.
Now, looking at the back in the day, this was the 90s. This was before the internet, so you had the yellow pages, and everyone was claiming to produce the best result. How did you know Dr. Cole was a right doctor for you?
Yeah, it was, and that was the thing, because I had made several appointments and talked to several doctors, and when I talked to Dr. Cole, it was his artistic approach to it, and the fact that he said, we have to do this, we can't do this, and everybody's a little bit different. So I do this, and just the way he talked about it, it wasn't a mail-in order where they say the same thing, buy the product, and off you go. He was passionate about what he was doing, and I liked that, and I trusted that. And he wasn't. It wasn't as scientific as it. Well, this artistic approach is really what turned me on. And for him to say something like that, he's a trained doctor, surgeon, and for him to speak like that is what made me trust him the most.
How was your quality of life post-procedure?
Yeah, it was much better. It's hard to explain how anybody would feel in their mid-30s. All of a sudden they're bald like a 70, 60-year-old man, and to have that come back to you, it was a huge quality improvement of my life and how I felt that I looked when I was with other people. It was huge to me. It made a big deal on how I felt and the confidence it gave me that I looked better than I did before.
If you were to speak with another patient, what would you have to say or what would you want to share about your experience?
That it's a sure thing. You can trust Dr. Cole. He will deliver what he promises, and it will be a huge change in the outlook of your life. I wouldn't waste a second to think about doing this at all. I'm doing it a second again.
Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Truman. I think that pretty much covers the interview. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Come see Dr. Cole. It was a great experience, and I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you doing this for us.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the little bell button to get notifications of Forhair's video uploads. For online consultation, click on the link on the screen or in the video description.